I'm Algenon Cash, and you're locked in. Welcome back. Thank you all for joining me for another week of a conversation. Always enjoy bringing great conversations to you. And today I've got a really exciting guest, someone who I'm very excited to introduce to my audience. But before we do that, we also want to make sure we just pause for a moment, thank our sponsors who support the show, thank our audience who lock in with us, week after week. We really appreciate you all. If you want to get more locked in, you can always go find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Go follow the YouTube channel. Make sure you become a subscriber. And you can also become a subscriber to the Locked In program. So make sure you reach out and let me know if you're interested in that as well. You can always go to lockedin.cash where you can read some of the articles I've written, as well as keep up with the podcast and so many other things that I'm working on. If you would have told me that 18 months would go by and we would still be dealing with COVID-19, I just would not have believed it. But here we are 18 months later. We are seeing a resurgence in COVID cases. A lot of states right now are back at 4-month highs in terms of COVID. And all of this is happening at a time when the nation's youth are returning back to school. Many people are going back to elementary school and high school, and so many folks are starting college for the first time and doing so within this new COVID environment that we're living in. So I wanted to bring in someone that I know is getting ready to start college, but this person also happens to be someone who is very special to me. First time guest on the show, Arianna Cash, and you may recognize that last name. Not a lot of Cashes running around out here if we're not related. So allow me to also introduce you to my daughter. I'm not going to call you mama. So Arianna, how's it going?
It's going well. It's going well.
That's a little bit of an inside joke between she and I. So I'm not going to call her mama this on this show. But Arianna, you're getting ready to head off to college. You just wrapped up your senior year at Parkland High School. You did so in the midst of COVID-19 and all of the restrictions and lockdowns and studying at home and everything else that you were asked to do. You may be asked to do it again because COVID isn't quite over yet. How do you feel getting ready to head off to college? What's some of the emotions you're experiencing right now?
As far as going to college, I'm ready. It's scary going away from home, of course, but the only thing we can be is ready. So I'm nervous, but I'm ready to just go see what life holds for me. So,
well, for my audience that don't know you so well, what are you going to be studying? What college are you heading off to? Give us some backstory there.
okay, I'll be attending ECU, East Carolina University. I will be going to study psychology. I plan on being a psychiatrist. After my 4 years at ECU, I do plan on going to med school. So for people that don't know who I am, that's just a little bit. I chose East Carolina because it was a good amount away from home. I didn't want to be in Winston-Salem anymore. They have a good background, a nice campus. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about entering in there. It's like,
well, that's good. You wanted some distance away from myself and your mom and so many other family members who live here in Winston-Salem, and I certainly don't blame you, and very excited to see you off down to Greenville. So you're heading off to ECU. A lot of students down there, a lot of people at ECU. As you heard me mention, COVID is not quite over yet. How does that make you nervous at all? Heading into such a large campus in the midst of COVID-19?
actually it does. Since I've been doing online school for a while, it's going to be different, of course, going back into a larger amount of people. I did recently get my COVID shot, so I could be more, secure, safe down there because it is a pretty large campus. As far as being with that many people, they did just send out an email saying that we'll have to be masked again unless we're outside and we have our COVID shot. So it is pretty scary knowing that anyone can have it and you don't even know if they do have it. So I did get my COVID shot just to take extra precautions on being down there, but it's not really but so much we can do. So
Yeah, and you said they are requiring mask wearing if you.
They, yeah, they are.
Yeah. Well, all you can do is, like you said, is be safe and follow some of the guidelines and the recommended precautions that you have to take to be safe. So I think that makes a lot of sense. We did have Micah Eustache on the show maybe about a month ago, shortly after high school graduation. She was the senior class president at Parkland High School and also spoke at the graduation. Happens to be the daughter of Harold Eustache, who you've heard on the show in the past as well. And Micah talked a little bit about how her experience navigating her senior year in high school in the midst of COVID. And so I'll ask you that same question. What were some of the challenges that you really had to experience that final year at Parkland? Once a lot of the schools were shut down.
I feel like as far as navigating my senior year through COVID, it was really hard. Your senior year is the year you actually need a lot of guidance so you can know like where to take your life when you graduate and how to graduate, what else you need to do to graduate. And it's like that wasn't there for us, or not just for me, my whole class. We didn't have background knowledge knowing what to do our senior year. We just really had to tread water and we had to take our own knowledge and our family's knowledge and our friends' knowledge to just graduate high school. As far as college applications, we didn't really have anyone there to help us, like as far as our guidance counselors. Um, in our senior lives, like the football games, the dance class, our dance concerts, big things that we look up to, they were basically taken away from us. So it was just hard. We really just felt more alone since we had to do it for 2 years, and we never thought like the March that we did have to leave, we would never come back to school like ever. So it was just hard, but I do feel like our whole class learned to not so I feel like we learned to adjust to change. It showed us that change will come. Everything is not normal. So it was a good experience overall, but of course we're ready for the experience to be over. But overall our senior year was hard and I don't wish that upon anybody else to have to go through that. So it was hard, but we're through it now.
Having to mainly do a lot of school from home and not having the social interaction and connections that you have when you're inside of the hallways and classrooms. How did you manage to maintain some of that social interaction and some of the friendships and connections that you have with people that all of a sudden you just don't see every day?
It was just really about upon ourselves. We had to take everything that we did have, our friendships, the social interaction. We had to take that on to our own hands and go out our way to still interact with our friends and still go eat lunch with our friends and still see our friends to really keep the communications that we did have since all that was taken away. As far as class, we were really just pushed. You had to wake up every morning to go to class. Like you had to log into your computer. No one was there to tell you, well, you have to go to school, you have to go to your next class, you have to do this. So it really helped us overall learn how to be on our own and grow up. But it was hard. It was just something we weren't used to. And the social interactions is really what made high school, and those was taken away from us. So it
Yeah,
was
and
hard.
as we talk a lot about on the show what it takes to be locked in. I use that phrase all the time. I ask people, "Are you locked in?" And I always say that one aspect of being locked in is to have self discipline and to be able to make some choices and decisions that a lot of times might be hard for other people to make, and to make some sacrifices from time to time too. And it sounds like that's what you learned in your senior year in high school, was how to have self discipline. And despite the fact your teacher or someone wasn't lurking over you to make you do something, you found the internal and self motivation to do it on your own. And I think that's the biggest takeaway for not only you and the experience that you just went through and what you're going to take away going into college, but it's also the takeaway from our audience. As we continue to deal with COVID and some of the challenges of COVID and the restrictions and the setbacks and the losses and so many other things, you've got to continue to just keep trying to find that self and inner motivation to just keep moving forward. I know even for myself going through COVID, I lost a lot. A lot of things change. Ariana, you can recall Zesto, the restaurant that we had going on the east side of Winston-Salem that did not survive COVID. We had to shut it down, because of COVID. And so there's all these transformational things that have happened for so many of us in the last year and a half. But we really need to take those things and use them, self-motivation, to try to keep pushing forward and move forward. One of the other things as I get ready to try to close up here, one of the other things that I talk a lot about when I say what it takes to be locked in, I also talk about hard work. You just got to work really hard. I am someone that certainly has not been immune to hard work. I've worked very hard your entire life, probably at times too hard, to the point where we've not even been able to spend time together a lot all the time. So I certainly believe that if you want to get to the next stage in life, you just got to work really hard. I've been really impressed with you, Arianna, because you've sort of adopted this same kind of philosophy. I think you've seen it from me. I think you've seen it from your mom. I think you've seen it from people around you. But you're also someone that works really hard. At one time you had like 3 jobs. You're working at Burger King, you're working at Wendy's, and you had your own hair business. So you're doing hair and you're modeling and you're doing all these things. Where do you get that motivation to just work so hard? And I would add, not only were you working hard doing all those great things, but you were still working hard at school and making sure you maintained your grades and so forth. Where does that motivation come from inside of you to work that hard?
I feel like my motivation, it's just myself. I just drive myself to do that. Like, I feel like if you want something done, then you have to, of course, get up and get it done. Like, not trying to bring social media into this, but the other day I was on Instagram and I seen a post. It's too much money out here to be made. So if you want it, you just have to get up every day and go get it. A lot of things that I did used to tell my friends when they heard that I was working 2 jobs, doing hair, still going to school. You just have to wake up every day like you're broke. Like, you have to go get money every single day. And that's just what I tried to do. And it was a hard experience since I was so young. I was missing out on social interaction, parties, everything, going to the pool, stuff like that. I was missing out on that. But through working that hard, it was really a great feeling to know I could get up every day and not have to worry about anything. Just go to work, go to school. It was great. I love that feeling. It was a great feeling, honestly. But my motivation, it came from, you just have to wake up every day. It's people that wish that they could live like this and they could go to work and they could get money and they could do this. But you just have to get it how you want to live it, really. And it was just great.
Well, I think the biggest thing you mentioned is that it requires self-motivation. I mean, no one is going to do it for you. Mom and daddy's not going to do it for you. Friends won't do it for you. Some kind of way you have to find the energy and the motivation within inside yourself to do whatever it is that you want to do in life. And I'm very proud of you because you're someone that is certain. You certainly follow that philosophy. You work very hard. You've worked very hard to make money for yourself, work very hard to buy things for yourself, including your car and so many things that you've been able to do. So I certainly think that you are not only just a model and example to so many other kids out here, but maybe even a model and example to some of us adults, out here as well that might be listening to the show. Arianna, as I get ready to wrap up, I appreciate you being here and sharing some thoughts and ideas and words with our audience. But as we get ready to go, if for that teenager that might be listening to the show, or they some kind of way tripped up on this over on YouTube and they're listening to this tonight, what would be some advice that you might give them?
I would just honestly tell you guys, any challenge that you're faced with, you could get through it. Don't let COVID stop you from doing anything that you've ever wanted to do. High school was really hard for me, but I got through it. You'll get through it. Hopefully change will come with the whole COVID-19 situation. And just don't forget, self-motivation is the best motivation. That's the best motivation I can tell you. If you don't want it, no one can want it for you.
And you all make sure you stay tuned in to WTOB, Locked In with Algenon Cash broadcast every Sunday morning on WTOB. If you miss it on WTOB, you can always go to Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Pandora, wherever your favorite podcast platform is. Locked In is available for you to download. Also, make sure you go check out lockedin.cash. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. I'm all out there. Until next time, y'all stay locked in.